Will Rick Grimes be returning in 2026? And now in today's video, I'm just going to be giving my theories and speculation as to if Rick Grimes is going to be showing up next year in 2026 and what capacity will his return be, and also some proof and evidence that we have that could potentially point towards Rick Grimes finally making his return. So please stay tuned. And now, before we actually get into the video, I'd like to ask you all to like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, thank you guys so much for the growth. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really appreciate it. And I'd like to ask you all to like this video as much as you guys can. It helps a ton. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. And now, as we all know, Comic-Con happened about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and I did not have any time to discuss the new news about the Walking Dead universe, but there wasn't really anything major that was announced, right? And we all thought that, you know, we're gonna get some announcement about Rick Grimes, probably something new about Dead City Season 3, but the panel happened as expected, right? As much as we were hoping that we got some new announcement about any other new spin-off, it was only a trailer for Daryl Dixon Season 3, and also an announcement for Daryl Dixon Season 4, which was expected, right? I mean, Daryl Dixon Season 4 was already in pre-production even before the announcement, and it's been leaked so much, and also it was just very obvious. So there's no surprise there, but the major news about Daryl Dixon Season 4 is that they announced this season is going to be the last season for Daryl Dixon. And you know, at first I thought that, yeah, you know, this is it, right? You know, they're just gonna kill off Daryl, or they're just gonna end it like that, and there's not gonna be anything new for the Walking Dead universe regarding Daryl or any sort of reunion. But Norman Reedus did say something very interesting along the lines of, you'll see much more of Daryl very soon. So I'm not sure if that means that, you know, we're going to see much more of Daryl after Season 4 of Daryl Dixon. I mean, it seemed like that he alluded to that, right? That, you know, even after Season 4, you'll see much more of Daryl. And if that is the case, then it's plain and obvious that we are going to get Rick Grimes in Season 4 of Daryl Dixon. And I know that we've all been making theories that, you know, Rick is going to appear in all of these seasons, right? He's going to appear in Dead City Season 2, he's going to appear in Daryl Dixon Season 2, and also Daryl Dixon Season 3 is still up for debate. But I feel as that with them announcing that Daryl Dixon Season 4 is going to be the last season, I think that has much more meaning behind it, and I believe that they're alluding to a crossover spinoff, or at the end of this season Rick Grimes is going to appear. I think that that's very possible, right? Because they're going to find their way home in Season 4, and you know, the thought of Daryl being killed off in Daryl Dixon Season 4, I think that is a very slim chance of happening, because Daryl is quite literally the poster boy of the Walking Dead universe, right? I mean, yeah, we have Rick Grimes, we have Negan, right? But those characters aren't as popular as Daryl, right? I mean, they might be the same level, but Daryl is the character that sells the most. That's why they've been, you know, cranking out seasons for Daryl Dixon without even seeing the audience reviews beforehand, right? I mean, usually what shows do before they renew it for a season, they check the audience reviews, and then they check how much the audience watched the season and the episodes and stuff like that, and then they renew it, right? But the Walking Dead universe doesn't really have a history with that sort of thing. But I feel is that Daryl Dixon, they've been doing it like pretty fast with those seasons, right? And they've been going into production pretty early on, which shows how much confidence do they have in Daryl as a character. So yeah, like, you know, Daryl is not going to be killed off in Season 4, and I do feel as that after this season is done for Daryl Dixon, right? After Season 4 is done, right, Rick Grimes is going to appear in that show, right? And if it's in the same capacity as The Ones Who Live, which I hope it's not, right? But it does seem like a very AMC type of thing to do, right? That they're gonna just have Daryl and Carol walk through the gates of the Commonwealth, and right before they meet Rick, it just goes to black there, and then we have to wait even longer for Dead City to end, and then we could potentially get a crossover, right? Because I feel as that the crossover spinoff is the right way to go, right? And of course we have all these actors that are working on other things, right? Like Norman Reedus, Andrew Lincoln, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, right? All these actors are doing their own thing now, right? I mean, Andrew Lincoln is getting his own show, right? He's getting a different show. I'm not sure on which platform, but you know, it's going to premiere in, I believe, next year. So yeah, like a lot of these actors, they have a lot on their plate, but you know, these actors are known for their roles in The Walking Dead, so I don't think it's going to be that difficult to get them on board. And I feel as that the reason why they're not really mentioning these characters, especially Rick Grimes, all that much is because they need to fit everything in with all of the actors' schedule, right? Like, you gotta have Jeffrey Dean Morgan on board, you gotta have Norman Reedus on board, you gotta have Andrew Lincoln on board to potentially get the ball rolling for this spin-off. And the reason why it was not announced at Comic-Con, I feel is that they don't even have a plan yet, right? They don't even know how they're going to pull this off, right? They're just going to see how Daryl Dixon Season 4 goes, and Dead City Season 3, and potentially Season 4, right? How those seasons go, and then they could officially announce something, right? And yeah, like, I just hope that they don't do a Ones Who Live with this, right? And I hope that even Dead City doesn't end like that, right? Because the Ones Who Live, in my opinion, right, I've said this so many times, that the Ones Who Live did not have a good ending, right? They did not show all that much for the ending of the Ones Who Live when Rick reunited with his family, right? I mean, if he went through the gates of the Commonwealth and he met the other characters, I feel as that would have been a better ending for that show. But I do believe that they sort of learned from their mistake, right? I mean, the fan backlash was pretty loud for that, so I feel as that we're gonna get Rick Grimes at the end of Daryl Dixon Season 4. He could finally reunite with Rick, and then whatever happens at Dead City, and then maybe through Dead City they could build up towards a new villain, right? A big overarching villain for them to actually face in the reunion spin-off. But yeah, like, I hope that Rick does show up sometime soon, and I believe that Andrew Lincoln is gearing up to shoot something new for the Walking Dead universe. And what do I mean by that, right? A video actually surfaced, I believe, on Twitter, right? And some fans, right, they met Andrew Lincoln at an airport, and they asked him, oh yeah, you know, what are you shooting now? Or what are you getting prepared to shoot now, right? And he said that he can't talk about it, right? He can't say anything about that. And of course, if it's a project that's already been announced that he's going to be in, then he could just say it. But I mean, he can't say anything, and it does seem like he is about to shoot something, and Daryl Dixon Season 4 is in production right now. So it is a very good chance, a very good possibility that he's gearing up to shoot a cameo or some sort of scene for Daryl Dixon Season 4, right? I mean, he basically did the same thing when Season 11 was going on, right? I mean, like, you know, we did not know what Andrew Lincoln was going to shoot, or if he was going to be in Season 11 at all, right? And he denied those claims and stuff like that, but, you know, he showed up, right? And it was pretty low-key, right? I mean, he hid pretty well, and he made that cameo happen. So I believe is that, you know, what he's about to shoot right now is going to be something related to the Walking Dead universe. And the fact of the Ones Who Live potentially having a Season 2, I think at this point I've thrown that possibility out of the window, right? And if we were to get some sort of announcement for the Ones Who Live Season 2, it should have been at Comic-Con, right? And that seemed about right, but they only had news about Daryl Dixon. So I don't think we're going to get a Season 2 for the Ones Who Live. Potentially we could get some sort of other spin-off with some other B-lister characters, right? Because there have been a lot of leaks that there is something in the works for the Walking Dead universe, right? And a lot of leakers have been stating that Daryl Dixon Season 4 and Dead City Season 4 are going to be the last seasons. I mean, of course, we know now that Daryl Dixon Season 4 is going to be the last season, which makes it seem very likely that Dead City Season 4 is going to be the last season, and of course, they're not going to put an end to the Walking Dead universe all that fast, right? Even though AMC has a history of just ending everything so abruptly, right? For example, The Ones Who Live, right? It had such an abrupt ending, even though it kind of did leave the door open for a crossover or whatever, right? But yeah, like, you know, it's good to hear that these leaks are actually true and they have some sort of validity to them, which we could expect something new for the Walking Dead universe, right? Some sort of new spin-off, and Dead City and Daryl Dixon aren't the end for it. And now, what could this potential new spin-off be? I personally think that it's a crossover spin-off, right? Like how I discussed so many times before, that they are working on some sort of crossover spin-off, and it's just a matter of time before we get some sort of announcement. And Daryl Dixon season 4 is going to be planting the seeds for that, right? It's going to be setting up this new crossover so that we could finally get a reunion with all of these characters. And I think that the capacity that Rick Grimes is going to be showing up in Daryl Dixon season 4 is probably a small cameo, right? He's just going to show up, he's going to meet Daryl, and then it's done from there. Then we get Dead City season 4, right? They come back to the Commonwealth, and then it's over from there. And whatever they want to do later on, right? If they want to do a crossover spin-off, the door for that is always open, right? And I do think that Daryl Dixon season 4 and potentially Dead City season 4 are going to plant the seeds for this crossover spin-off. And also, one more cool thing I wanted to discuss is that Dead by Daylight got a Walking Dead update, right? I don't play Dead by Daylight all that much, but I still bought the DLC with Rick Grimes, right? And it's very cool that Andrew Lincoln came back to voice the character, right? And we did not get that for The Walking Dead Destinies, but we got that for Dead by Daylight, which proves that Andrew Lincoln is still open to play the role for Rick Grimes, right? And it just seems like he's just waiting for a call, or he's already signed a contract or something with AMC that he's going to return soon. So like, I mean, it's something very small, but this small DLC with The Walking Dead, and of course with Andrew Lincoln voicing Rick Grimes, it does give more of a possibility that, you know, he's going to return, right? It shows that he's open for the role, and he just needs to appear in something, which I do think it's going to be next year during Daryl Dixon season 4. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I'd like to ask y'all to like, share, and subscribe. And again, thank you guys so much for the growth. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really appreciate it. And I'd like to ask y'all to like this video as much as you guys can. It helps a ton. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching.